A Sunday best finds itself being live. Nothing better than live radio / television / Twitch / YouTube / Twitter / wherever it is you're watching this on a Sunday morning. Or if you're listening to it as a podcast after the fact, I've got with me Ali McGovern. I have got with me Mr. John Gibbons, and I've got Lauren from Redmen TV. And I'm going to go to Lauren first because we're going to start off talking about the women getting to lift the trophy today. And Lauren is most definitely has been putting the yards in, putting the graft in for many a year. And Lauren, you must be absolutely delighted at the idea of, firstly, a Prenton Park packed to the rafters, getting to see these women get the trophy that they deserve after this fantastic season that they're put in.
Yeah, absolutely buzzing. You know, it's a day that we've all been waiting for all season. Well, 2 seasons really. So you know, it feels like kind of weird because we've obviously had a 2-week break since Bristol, since we, you know, clinched the trophy, and now today we get to finally see us lift it. Obviously, we've got a game of football before that as well, which kind of gets in the way. I feel like no one's really bothered about the scoreline. They just want to get to that trophy lift at the end. But yeah, it's going to be an amazing day. The sun is shining, everyone's in a good mood. So yeah, what more can you ask for?
The sun is shining. Ali McGovern is there in the Whittle. Advanced party for us doing a recce. It is bright sunshine out of that window. On the right-hand side as we look, the left-hand side as Ali sits. And Ali, it's been a long journey, this. It's important it's enjoyed today, but it's also the significance of the achievements is put into context. Liverpool women, under controversial circumstances, were relegated, but they were relegated not least because they weren't doing very well at all. You can discuss the controversy one way or the other. From their last season did not go as hoped. It does feel as though everyone's got a grip of what needed to happen for Liverpool women this season, and today is party time to enjoy the fact that everyone did get a grip and it's been sorted out.
Yeah, from a sporting perspective, I can totally understand the idea that we say, okay, the whole points per game thing. I mean, I think at the time I was quite robust publicly about the way in which the women's leagues were kind of just cancelled and brought to an end, which saw us relegated due to COVID. And I still feel like that is an injustice. But from a sporting perspective, of course, you have to say, like, look, that is done. That is in the past. There's nothing we can change about that. The thing that the team could address was their performances, and the thing that the team could address was the quality of the football that would get us to this point. So whilst I maintain my right to be angry about the way that women's football has been treated down the years, shall we say, I think that quite rightly the footballers put it behind them and got on with the job in hand. And today is the result of that work. And not only has it been about getting back up to the Women's Super League, but it's also about really lifting our game and really showing how good some of these players are. And they are a joy and a pleasure to watch.
There was John, you know, this sort of had to happen this season with the increased money in the Women's Super League through sponsorship that we've seen so far this season, with the very quality that there is at the very top of the Women's Super League from sides that, you know, we very much know the name of: Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, and to an extent Manchester United. There was just a potential risk that Liverpool end up getting a little bit left behind and playing a bit too much catch-up. Catch-up will still be played, and we'll come on to talk about that in a minute or two. But this had to happen this season in loads of different ways. It had to happen. It had to happen spiritually. It had to happen for all of us. It had to happen to get the excitement and then keep the excitement. But it also had to happen sportingly. It's such an important thing that Liverpool women have done this campaign.
It is, and everything he said is right, but that adds its own pressure,
Yeah.
and that makes it sort of, you know, even more impressive because it's one up, and that is difficult. And you can be the best team in the league, which they are, and you can be, let's be honest, financially backed, the best financially backed team in the league, which let's all be honest that they are as well. But that doesn't mean you've got a, you know, a given right to get promoted. I've only just watched the Leeds United documentary, and you know, it's the 2 years they followed them trying to get promoted, and you know, they're 20 years almost is out the Premier League, and every year, oh, Leeds are too big, you know, but there's no such thing as too big to be in a division. You know, you've got to earn it on merit, and it's difficult, and it's even harder when it's one place. And so they've done brilliantly, and you know, it's pressure on young athletes to go out there and perform and to perform at a high level every week. You know, there's only so many games you can drop points in, and they've just done it, and they've gone on a fantastic run. They've been brilliant. I think the manager's been great in terms of how he's adjusted throughout the season to get the best out of the quality he's got. And yeah, it's a boss achievement, and I'm really looking forward to celebrating it today.
Just, John, the idea of, again, it gets talked about a lot on the men's side, or was talked about a lot on the men's side, but there is also a weight of the shirt conversation here as well. You know, they're playing for Liverpool, and I think that's what they've, you know, I think last season that's what they found a little bit difficult, because not only are they playing for Liverpool, but the sides that they're coming up against in the division are playing against Liverpool, and everyone goes up 10% for the game against Liverpool. Everyone's determined to beat Liverpool, especially away from home, take a point off Liverpool. Last season, I think they struggled with that. This season, I think they've absolutely risen to that challenge.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the crowds have really helped with that as well, because, you know, last year it was tough. You know, we were lucky enough to go in terms of press access, but, you know, most of the time we were the only people there. I think there was only one game where they got a sort of a handful. And so I think this time, I think the crowd, and there's been brilliant crowds, by the way, to getting a, you know, I mean, it's going to be a big one today, but getting sort of 1,000 people down for sort of each game, you know, even in the winter stays, you know, it was sort of 300-400, and that was when, you know, in the Super League. And so for this season, for them to be, you know, getting the big crowds there, and I think that's a good reminder of the positives of the shirt, and the positives of being Liverpool Football Club, and the positives of sort of having this support, really, and everything the supporters club's done has been amazing.
I mean, not to sound like unreasonable, but I also feel like on that we've got loads of room to grow as well. Every time I go and watch them, people come over to me and are like, it's great this, and they've got a list of like 3 or 4 people who they think would also love it. And so it feels to me like, yes, no, in terms of the crowd, it has been a massive increase, but it feels to me like this is nothing yet. Like, we have literally seen nothing yet. I think in 5 years' time, you know, the crowds will be like exponentially bigger. The football on the pitch will be even better than it is now. And, you know, it would be my strong advice for people to get involved now, because this is just going to be one hell of a journey.
It's been a journey this year, Lauren, and I want to talk about some of the heroes, sung and unsung, on and off the pitch. There's 3 or 4, I think, through the spine of the team in the end. Leanne Kiernan scoring all the goals. Kerry Holland, I think, in the middle of the park, has been there week in, week out. I think Leanne Robes been excellent over the course of the campaign. And Rachel Laws, who I think has ultimately been the complete backbone of this team. You know, you can take your pick, whichever one of them you want to speak about, or even more than one. But for me, they've absolutely been the rock that this team's been built on.
Yeah, I think Rachel Laws is definitely the one most people would probably go for across the season. Obviously, you know, it looks certain at one point that Riley Foster was going to be our number one. Obviously, an unfortunate accident happened to her, and you know, Laws has obviously stepped in and been our number one for the whole season, and just been absolutely incredible. I think it's not just, you know, the way she plays, it's the way she acts on the pitch as well. It's how commanding, it's just a presence in general, I think, on the field is just amazing. So yeah, I think her, and I think for me as well, me and Amy have spoken about this, but Rhiannon Roberts has been a huge one for me as well. You know, obviously Charlotte Wardlaw's come in this season, has been incredible at right back, but then a lot of the times Rhiannon Roberts has come in and filled that position and done absolutely amazing. She's almost like a brick wall at some points, and given 100%. There was a game a few weeks ago, I can't remember who he played now, but the whole defence just kind of went dodgy at one point. No one really knew what was going on, and Roberts was there and just steadied the ship, and just, yeah, it was. I think if I had to pick, it'd be one of them two for me this season.
It's all fair, John. You know, you look at the table right now and you wonder why it was Everton's out. Liverpool are 13 points clear at the top of Bristol in second place. Everyone's now played the same number of games. Liverpool have scored 2 more goals than Bristol, and they have scored sort of 10, 11 more than Crystal Palace and Sheffield United. But they've only conceded 8, and everyone else in the league, with the exception of Charlton, who've conceded 17, have conceded 20 or more. That's been what this side's been built on, isn't it? You know, that absolute defensive solidity that's got in through the whole of the side, while still obviously being able to carry a really good threat.
Yeah, it has, and that'll hold them in good stead for next season because they're going to need to be difficult to beat first and foremost next year, and it's obviously going to be tougher. So I think the fact that they don't give away goals, the fact that they've got such a strong span, and the fact that they do make it difficult for the opposition to create chances, and then when they do, as you said, you've got this fantastic goalkeeper. I think is a really good sign for next season. But as I mentioned before, the manager, when he adjusted it after a few games, went to three at the back, and I think that really helped in terms of both defensively but also attackingly as well. And I think the wing backs, how they've embraced that. I don't think they were necessarily, I didn't necessarily see them as sort of natural wing backs really. So I was like, oh, wait and see sort of how this goes. But they've scored goals. You've seen thunderbolts from Taylor Hines, with the wrong foot and stuff like that, and they've really embraced the sort of attacking elements of being in that role. And
you've seen one assist in the other for a goal, John.
But I think the fact,
you know what I mean? You've seen one assist the other for a goal, and that's massive.
Yeah. So I think. Yeah, they're really well balanced, I think, but I think they'll want to put on a bit of a show today, to be honest with you, in front of hopefully a big crowd and before that trophy lift. So I think you might see a little bit more cavalier football this afternoon, but that's all right, isn't it, in the Whittle sunshine?
I'm expecting some seriously fabulous throw-ins from Megan Campbell.
A flourish, a throw-in with a flourish.
I'm literally only going for Megan Campbell's throw-ins.
Like a trophy in themselves.
They very much are, yeah.
Alison, this has been achieved on and off the pitch. John before mentioned the supporters club who've done some brilliant work as well in terms of getting people excited and getting people down. I started off mentioning Lauren, and the work that she's been doing with Amy for many a year, intensifying this year. There's been a lot of people who've had to really sort of put the backs in this from a Liverpool point of view. The players on the pitch have been absolutely incredible. John's mentioned the manager there as well, but unlike it doesn't just happen by accident, this sort of thing. There's been a lot of work put into it.
No, it doesn't just happen by accident. I mean, Joe and Philippa and everybody at the supporters club are just incredible, and keep pushing and pushing and pushing to do more things. And that, I think, that's just like you see it from the players. It really helps. So all credit to them. I think that the club did respond to what happened and the relegation. And I would pay particular tribute to Susan Black, who, of all the people in football, I think she's shown an absolute commitment to women's football. I think that she has driven this team forward. I'm sure it's not always a joy and a pleasure being a sort of senior executive in a football club, but she brings to the women's side just an incredible spirit and desire for them to see well, and I think she's done a fantastic job. But there's loads of people that I could mention within the club who've looked at this and been like, yeah, you know what, we're Liverpool, we want to be the best at things, this is the thing, we need to be the best at it. And I think that's the only attitude we should take. I want to see Liverpool women compete, and we can have a whole nother conversation about what it's going to be like next season, and it will be a massive challenge because if you watch Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, and we saw it when they came to Prenton Park, it is a different level again. But I think having that ambition at the heart of the club, that if it's right that Liverpool are the best at things, that means our women's team competing for the Champions League, and it means our women's team absolutely competing for the Women's Super League title, then it will be a journey to get there, but we will go on that journey.
Get yourself to Prenton Park today if you can. Don't worry what in any way, shape or form if you haven't been so far this season. If you can't make it today, there will be next season. It will be in the WSL. And as Alison says, given the standards, given the step up, people will need the support. The club will need the support next season. You've only got to look at Leicester. They went up last year and they've only won 4 from 19 this season. They will stay up, Leicester, just about, it looks like. But they've only won 4 from 19. It will need as many of us as possible next season. Do not think you've missed the bus. Do not think you're crashing the party. You're really, really not. The party will be ongoing with a bit of luck. So get yourself down to Prenton Park today. Also download the Anfield Wrap app if you haven't already. and we'll be live in London on July the 9th. Lots of places to find out where that, well, it is in Hackney, Earth in Hackney. I can tell you where that is. Lots of places to buy the tickets from, though. And if you look at the Anfield Wrap social media, you'll be able to find that there. The other thing that happens today, John, City won emphatically yesterday, as was expected. No one had any delusions. They better not have had. Burnley face Wolves at 2 p.m, which has a knock-on effect to our game, because there's a chance that Everton kick off in the relegation zone, if they are most definitely in the relegation picture. If Burnley get a point as a minimum from the game against Wolves, if they get 3, it's no longer on goal difference, it's on points. Everton's situation, John, is absolutely perilous on and off the pitch, and the gulf between the two teams has never been this big.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the thing you wrote for our newsletter, and you know, people who get the newsletter and haven't read it yet, although the open rates are phenomenal. So that's not many people, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and particularly the part around the fact that I don't think that they've sort of, I think, not the supporters, but those within the football club, it seems to have taken far too long for them to realise sort of what trouble that they're in. And we talked, you know, I talked before about Leeds United and this idea of, oh, we're too big for this, you know, we'll just sort of go up. And I think Everton seemingly, you know, took a similar position to going down. You know, you highlighted those Mason Holgate quotes, which were just like jaw-dropping. This idea of, oh, at the end of the season, everyone's going to wonder what all the fuss was about. And I was like, I don't think they will, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, that kind of thing. And I think they are in real bother. And you know, the Everton fans who I've spoken to, you know, do wonder whether their players have sort of got to fight for it, and we'll see this afternoon. We'll see how much is in them, because they're going to need a lot. They're going to need, you know, a lot of quality, and they're going to need to play close to the limit of their abilities. But also, you know, they're going to need to scrap, and they're going to need to be tough to beat, and they're going to need everything that they just haven't shown. To be honest with you, where many times when I've seen them, with the sort of odd exception.
When I say the gulf between the two teams, Lauren, has never been this big. You know, Liverpool have been, you've got a sign behind you there 19 times. You know, when Liverpool win the league that season, they win 27 out of the first 28 games. Liverpool have been at these heights before, albeit maybe not with the same amount of flair that they've got now. But it's been a long, long time, possibly ever since Everton were evidently sort of this bad. They might be the 17th or 18th best team in the division, or third worst, depending on your point of view. And that's why I think expectations for this today are really rather strange. I'm just happy with any win, I'll be honest, because the game still kicks off at 0-0. It could become a tricky affair, but the gulf has just never been so big.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said there, you know, the game still starts at 0-0. You still got to go in to a match and play your absolute best. The thing is, Everton are fighting for those points, so, you know, they can come out all guns blazing. Obviously, with it being at Anfield and the way Liverpool are playing at the minute, the position we're in is a lot different. So you're kind of not nervous for it. I think maybe just before kick-off, once you're in the ground, it changes. But right now, you're kind of not nervous for it. I'm certainly not. It's just about going there and, you know, playing them off the park, really. You know, look at the score earlier on the season when we beat them at their ground with their fans' full voice as well. So I don't think we should worry just yet. I mean, hopefully I'm not at later, but yeah, I don't think we should be worrying too much about it.
It's one where, you know, Ali, there's an expectation that Liverpool have got to put a certain performance in. It's 4:30. It's on the telly. Liverpool have been playing this fantastic stuff, but I think there's a point where it can just become a Merseyside derby. That's the key thing for me. And there's a point where, you know, if it's 0-0 or 1-1 on the hour mark, Anfield will be a really, really nervous place. And I think that's why it's important to remember it's a game, it's a competition. It does start at 0-0, and if Liverpool play to their best, they will get a result.
That's right. And of course, like across the sweep of games, quality will out. But that doesn't mean that on the individual occasion or with, you know, mad moments, things can't happen that would cause us significant difficulties. And like, that's what we all like derbies for, right? Because there's a high likelihood of mad moments. And I thought the interview with Thiago and Mo Salah was absolutely hysterical, because just the way that Mo laughed as he said, you know, you've not played in a derby, you know, you don't know what fun is yet. I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and that's why we will always be nervous, even if, you know, the team have been playing incredibly well. that their shape has been really effective, and their response to even those teams who've tried to kind of like tactically undermine us, we found a way through. So Everton today have got a huge job to do. They know that, but it's a derby. Anything can happen.
It's interesting the Thiago and Salah conversation, John, because there's a fighting chance he doesn't pick either of them from the start. He loves picking a strange team in a Merseyside derby at home. Salah's not played that many of them. Thiago, there's a run of games ahead that goes, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and I think he'll definitely want Thiago for that. The flip side is I'm desperate for him to play them both. Like, genuinely, if I was picking the team today, I wouldn't be pulling my punches. I would be a brawl. I'd be really, really close to a first 11, and not least because I just want to watch Thiago play football again. If that could be arranged, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think Salah will play. I'd be surprised if he doesn't pick him after scoring two the other night. He's been on this long run, without a goal, and so having bagged a couple the other night, I'd be surprised if he doesn't play him. But I'm with you. There's a good chance he doesn't play Thiago, but. Again, exactly like you say, Neil. The pragmatist in me is thinking about other days, but the man who wants instant gratification would like to watch Thiago play football today, please.
John, in the long run, we're all dead. And by the long run, I mean Wednesday.
In fact, yeah, exactly. And in fact, when we go down to the women's game now, I know they've set all this stuff up for families and stuff like that. There's a little kick around in the car park. I hope Thiago's playing there. Just spraying passes around to kids, beating an 8-year-old with a little shimmy. That's what I'm hoping for.
It is Lauren. He does have to be the grown up in the room, the manager. I'm sure he himself, would like to not be. But the good thing about it is that he does have options. If Thiago doesn't play, there's a fighting chance that it's Naby Keita who replaces him, who's looked great recently. If Diaz doesn't start, there's a fighting chance it's Diogo Jota that replaces him. This is the position the manager's in now, and it's why whatever he does. Obviously, we're all in full support of. He's got the information and we haven't, but also we know we're going to get to see a really, really good Liverpool team.
Yeah, definitely. I was having a conversation about this at last week's game, and I think whatever team starts, you can have a Minamino, Origi, and Jota up front. And I think Everton's heads will go. You could start with Diaz, Salah, and Mane, and I think the heads will go. So at the end of the day, I think whatever team he starts is good enough. But it's like you said there, you want to be seeing your Thiago in the middle of the pitch. You want to see Salah up front, and I think it might be kind of a game where you start your best 11, and hopefully by come 65 minutes, you're 3 or 4-0 up. You can shut up shop, bring those players off, and put your Origi on and put your Minamino on, and still test them. So I think either way, you're gonna see a good 11 today.
You are going to see a good 11. I think the key thing, Alison, and I think it's important that City were never going to get something off, going to drop points against Watford. We all knew it. We've all been around the block often enough. The thing for us to remember is that if we do our job, we only need them to drop points once. And I think there's understandable fretting every single time they win another game, because obviously there's a clock and it's ticking down on the one hand. But on the other hand, there'll be Manchester City supporters today who are doing a bit of, well, you never know. It's a derby. Everton might get something off them. And then we win. And then the pressure is back on. The scoreboard pressure is back on. Next weekend, we play first, at 12:30 on Saturday. We play first in that one. And then we can then go back top of the league. And it is all about sort of just keeping the pressure on them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just I'm kind of with John in terms of like heart, like watching Thiago play last week, where it felt like it, just unadulterated joy and a pleasure to watch the man with the ball. But like, I would make a strong case for Naby today. I think we need to switch it about. We need both of them, at the top of their game. We need both of them to be, the way that Liverpool play. You do always see, often with Klopp, with Luis Diaz being the exception, that it takes time for players to get into the side, because the way that we play is sometimes complex. They need to be able to think on their feet. So I think you could make a strong argument for Naby on the grounds that at this point, being able to switch in and switch out and keep legs from being too tired, I think is I think there's a rational, if not emotional, argument for that. But yeah, no. Without a doubt, it's all about who can handle the pressure, who can cope with, this is in the end going to come down to the absolute smallest of margins. So who can keep their eyes on every tiny opportunity and, you know, make sure that we are as perfect as we can be. And it's exactly the same situation for City. And, you know, who the hell knows really what's going to happen.
The last sort of part of it, John, is accepting that any win's a good win here today. I think it is a strange one because Liverpool played so well against Manchester City last weekend and then dismantle a Manchester United side who, let's be honest, were very, very easily dismantled on Tuesday night. Never known anything so easy to dismantle. There's IKEA furniture you've got to spend more time dealing with than that sort of thing. And yeah, that's what Liverpool did to Manchester United. So there is this sense, isn't there, this prevailing view. But just like when we went to Old Trafford in the 5-0 and then followed that up with Goodison Park, the 4-1, the 4-1 was a comprehensive Liverpool victory. Don't get me wrong, but it felt like that day Everton put up much more resistance than Manchester United had done in their ground, and that's what I'm expecting today. Everton, I think, will find a way to show some resistance to Liverpool over an extended period of time. I think once Liverpool breach it, it'll be a different game, but I am expecting Evertonian resistance.
Yeah, Manchester United sort of, I mean, they're a bit of a shambles of a football team, aren't they? And that they've got these individually great players. And so when they play against sides, you know, who aren't great, they can obviously win football games with moments. And you saw that against Norwich, you know, it's they concede 2, they could concede 4 or 5, but Ronaldo gets a hat-trick and they win it. But when they come up against a proper elite team where we've got good footballers and organisation like us and like City, they just look as shambles, really. Everton, you know, aren't that in that, you know, they haven't got the individual brilliance, but also, you know, they are sort of, you know, a semblance of, you know, you can work out, you can see what sort of Lampard's trying to do. They're just lacking in quality and lacking in confidence, and the heads go down. And I think that's key for Liverpool, is that I don't think we can give them any encouragements, because I think they've actually looked a good team on occasion when I've seen them at 0-0. It's what happens when they go a goal down is the you know, the thing that's infuriating Evertonians, really. And so I think an early goal would be wonderful, but even if that doesn't necessarily happen, just total control and just early dominance and early reminder that you're not getting anything out of this football game. This one's not for you. You worry about your points somewhere else.
Absolutely. I'm not going to go around and ask for predictions. You're all going to predict a Liverpool win. By all means, argue with me right now. If not, we're going to wrap this one up, not least because I need to go and get my train. That's the way this works these days. We've got to get over there and got to get over. The future most definitely is Birkenhead. Thank you very much indeed to Alison McGovern, to Lauren Black, to John Gibbons. We will all be at Prenton Park later on today. We've then got Anfield on the horizon. It is one of those Sundays that you never quite thought that you'd get. Testament to Liverpool women that we've got one. We've got a trophy to win in the morning, to pick up in the morning, and then we've got a Merseyside derby to win another trophy in the afternoon. These are the days to be alive. I'll say it again, the future is